Good evening. I'm Jan Kowalski McDonald with Greenslate I Incorporated, and tonight I'm joined with Ms. Jeanette Taylor. Welcome, Jeanette.
Thank you, Jan. How are you?
All right, but before we get into why Jeanette's here, let me just tell you a little bit about Greenslate I Incorporated. Greenslate I is a non-for-profit entity, and they're designed to assist ex-convicts. They have any number of programs, including feeding the families of Inglewood. They've got a Kirby's Kids Camp during the summer. They also have community service through the Circuit Court of Cook County. And this is a live interactive show. Of course, we're on KNTV Channel 21. And you're more than welcome to call in with any comments, questions, or concerns to the number that appears at the bottom of your screen. So for the next 25 minutes, we're live. You can call the number. Let me tell you a little bit about Greenslate. Let me show you there. Here we go. There's Greenslate. If you need to fulfill any community service hours, you can reach Greenslate at, here's their P.O. Box 378744 in Chicago, Illinois, 60637. Phone number 217-600-1846. Their website here is Greenslate Institute, the number 4justice.weebly.com. And their email is greenslateInstituteforjustice@gmail.com. And of course, the people who have viewed this show before, I'm Jan Kowalski McDonald. There's the Kowalski McDonald. And for some people who are not familiar with Polish surnames, I'm going to give you this breakdown. I've got my Cole, followed by my wall, and last but not least, my skis. So we're going to put the Cole, the wall, and the skis together, and you get me, which is Kowalski. And I know you're thinking that you're going to call me Kawasaki. No, it's not Kawasaki. It's Kowalski, and here's my little koala bear. He's got his skis, because, of course, my name's Kowalski. And last but not least, I'm 100% qualified, which is, there's my little koala, and I'm 100% qualified. So back to me. Welcome, Jeanette. Welcome.
Thank you, Jan.
Perhaps you can tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
So I am Jeanette B. Taylor. I'm a candidate for 20th Ward Alderman. I've lived in Chicago.
All right, we need more women in politics.
I've lived in Chicago my entire life. I've only lived in Woodlawn for about the last 6 years, but I've community organized for the last 10 years, and I was on the local school council for 21 years. Wow. And so I'm running because I want to be the change agent that I think Chicago needs, the 20th Ward needs. We live in communities that are a lot of times disinvested in. People who are on the ground or grassroots are often not heard, and so I want to be the person to make change for the 20th Ward for all 20th Ward constituents. Well,
can you give our viewers your website, your phone number, so we can get in touch
so
with you?
My website is taylor20thward.org. My office is 6636 South Cottage Grove in Woodlawn. My telephone number is 773-620-9055.
All right. Now, Jeanette, what caused you to want to run?
I am tired of living. I know. I am tired of living in a city where I pay some of the highest taxes. I get the least amount of return on my investment, and so I live in a community where there are no quality grocery stores. We just got a level 1 trauma center because young people organized. My neighborhood grocery store is the liquor store or the corner store. I don't have that many opportunities for young people in my community. We don't have a lot of economic development in that community, and so with the announcement of the Obama Presidential Center, that is all starting to change. And so a community that has been forgotten about now has some of the highest rents in the country. Wow. Probably number 3 in the country. And so I'm afraid I was displaced from Bronzeville because there's no rent cap and because of the high rent, and I love Woodlawn, and I'm afraid the same thing is going to happen, and so I'm willing to fight.
All right. So what if you're elected? Well, let me ask you: isn't that ward kind of diverse socioeconomically?
So 24% of the folks in the 20th Ward own their homes, really in Woodlawn. There is a small portion that's a Latino based. But there's mostly low income and working families. You do have a bunch of homeowners and folks like that, but it is a diverse community as far as wealth. And so regardless, I grew up in a community, I think we all have, where my mother was the clerk, but my father was the cab driver, and we still could exist and live in great communities. And so if we get back to that, we have a Chicago we all can be proud of. I'm not proud of the city I live in now. Gentrification is going on like steroids. 250,000 black folks have left the city because they can't afford to stay here. And I got a 66-year-old mother who I am not moving to another state. And so I'm going to fight along with other folks in the city to stay and make sure that Chicago is affordable for everybody.
Fantastic. That is really wonderful. Go, Jeanette.
Thank you.
All right, so can you tell us, the voters, our viewers here, a little bit about yourself and why you decided to run?
So in 2015, I went on a hunger strike to save Diet High School. And so it was a 34-day hunger strike that I was going on in 2015, and I couldn't believe that in 2015 I was on a hunger strike. But I was determined to let low-income and working families know that somebody was fighting for them. Somebody were fighting for their young people. And so after the hunger strike, never in the history of school closings has a closed school been open to a neighborhood high school. And so quite often in communities of color, we're taught we can't win. And so with that win, I felt like, what's next for me? And then came the announcement of the Obama Presidential Center. And so I was excited because I was like the first black president of the United States, something I never thought I would get to see in my lifetime. It happened, and he was going to get a presidential center. While I was grateful that it would come to Jackson Park, I also got worried because we know that anytime investment comes to black and brown communities, we're the first set of folks they push out. And so it was like, what else can you do besides, meet with your elected officials who don't always advocate in low-income and working families' interests. We had a mayor who basically didn't care that we were on a hunger strike. He doesn't seem to adhere to the black and brown community until it's election time. And so for me, I love community organizing. I love being a parent advocate, but I decided to run. And so I'm in the race. I'm looking to get on the ballot. I'm looking to knock doors and meet my neighbors. Quite often, we ask people for their vote, but we're not willing to knock on their doors and ask them what they think. And so how can I advocate for you if I've never had a conversation with you? And so I'm door knocking. I'm getting to know my neighbors, getting to see what the needs of the community are, because I can only speak to the little portion of Woodlawn that I live in, but I can't speak to the 20th Ward as a whole yet. And so I'm doing that work to get to know my neighbors and see what the need is.
That's fantastic. Well, Jeanette, what separates you from the other candidates? I understand there's a whole slew of candidates running for this.
My background speaks for itself. So 21 years as a local school council member. We all know Harold Washington came up with local school councils because he wanted it to be some local accountability. So 21 years of my life for free I've dedicated to young people in Bronzeville, going on a hunger strike, putting my body on the line. I still kind of suffer from high blood pressure and some issues for it. And I've been to jail because I refused to leave the mayor's office because I wanted him to answer why would he close 50 schools in black and brown neighborhoods. And so my reputation speaks for itself. I stood with young people for the trauma center that we now have at the University of Chicago, which how many young people have died on their way to the hospital going to the county. And to have a level 1 trauma center in my community, I pay homage to those young people, but I was a part of that fight.
Jeanette, let me ask you, what do you think about armed guards with combat tactical weapons at trauma centers or hospitals? What do you think about that?
It's a trauma center, so I understand it because they're not sure what's coming in, but that trauma center wasn't made for that. That trauma center is supposed to be in the light of when a person gets shot, that you service that family gets mental health, that family, if someone dies, has a set of folks that they can go to. And so that's what that trauma center was intended for.
Right, I don't like the fact that they've got these automatic weapons there that are protecting the trauma centers.
They're not sure who comes, but no, think about it. We live in an over-police city. We've gotten more police. 39% of our budget goes to police. We spend $4 million a day on police. Do you feel any safer?
No, I don't.
I don't.
How about you?
No.
No, but I have been getting more tickets.
I wish we knew where our money was going when we pay for these tickets, and we can't seem to figure that out. And so, well, we are paying higher taxes, and we got a city sticker, and we red light cameras. Where is our money going? Definitely in black and brown communities, we're not seeing a return on that investment. And so that's because the people who sit in City Hall are not advocating on behalf of their constituents. And I'm just different in that way. My record speaks for itself. What I've done in my life, I've done because I felt like it was the right thing to do. It wasn't always popular, but I felt like when I went on a hunger strike in 2015, I didn't work for the organization. And so I did these things because my heart was in it. And this generation is not lost, it's been neglected. We have not done our just due by young people. I remember being a young person and having social centers, staying to 8 o'clock at night. And so when I got home, I was too tired to do anything other than my homework and eat.
There you go.
Where are the programs for young people? Where is this economic development? We have billion-dollar corporations that move into our city, but our young people are not prepared enough to go to them. What happened to vocational schools? Exactly. I went to Dunbar.
Sewing.
I give homage to Dunbar Vocation. I went there as a teen mother. By the time, when I was 15, I was already a teen mother. And so going to Dunbar, I learned to be a secretary. And so 19 years old with 3 kids, I worked at H&R Block because I got the skill from Dunbar. And so we don't have to reinvent the wheel when it comes to a great city and good communities. We have the answer. We just have to have people who are bold enough to stand up and say, this is not right and I'm not going to vote on it, or I'm going to let my constituents know this is what you all decided and it's not in their best interest.
Well, Ms. Taylor, let me ask you, do you have a plan for combating the violence in the 20th Ward, if any?
Of course, when jobs go up, violence goes down. When those young people have schools that they can go to, and schools are like second homes. They're the last stable foundations in our community, and they're in chaos right now because we have an appointed school board in Chicago. And so once we get to a space where those schools are welcoming to children, they have a saying in Finland, you get the school ready for the children, not the children ready for school. And so when we use it that way, then we have places our young people are proud to go to. Why in the 2013 closing those 50 schools, they lost a lot of young people. Where are those young people at? They're in the streets.
Or in jail.
And they're doing whatever they need to do to survive. Young people don't sell drugs because they don't have anything else to do. They are trying to feed their families. And not to say that it's right, but it's like if you back a cat up in the corner, what do you think that cat will do? It will come out scratching and fighting. And so that's what happens in our communities. And so we got to act like that what needed to be done was not done. So it's time for us to do the real work and challenge folks that move in our communities. If you build something in our community, 50% of the folks that are from that at that place have to come from that community. How many times do people ride in and out to our community that don't live in our community, and we're riding out to Lincoln Park and Aurora to work? And so we got to have real conversations about that, and they're tough and they're uncomfortable.
Well, what about TIF financing for the 20th Ward? You don't like TIFs?
I love TIFs when aldermen do what they're supposed to do with them. We know what they are invented for. They were supposed to help blatant communities, not build Navy Pier, not build the Wind Trust. And so when aldermen stand up and say, no, my TIF dollars are for my community, and use them what they are for, we're going to be just fine.
Well, that's my question. Is it's always great to have more social services, but at a certain point, you're like, how financially do we afford this?
It ain't about social service. It's about making sure people are put in place to have jobs, preparing them, and then sending them out to the workforce prepared. So many of our young people don't know how to fill out a job application, do not have trade skills, went to school, just some people were passed through. Let's be honest, after a certain age, they graduate you out. And so if a system is set up to make sure young people can read when they leave high school, to have a trade or be endorsed in something before they leave high school, and you can give them workforce development, so those type of centers, then we don't struggle when it comes to people working and people being able to eat and people being able, a lot of times in black and brown communities, we're taught to be the customer and never the business owner. And so who is teaching entrepreneurship? There are plenty good, great black business owners who can teach but never get the opportunity to go in schools and be able to do that work. And so us getting back to allowing the community into schools to do just that, we can be a city we can be proud of.
Well, let me just pause for station identification here. You're watching Greenslate I on KNTV Channel 21 and knTV.org/hotline. And tonight we're joined by Ms. Jeanette Taylor, who's a candidate for alderman for the 20th Ward. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to call in the number appearing at the bottom of your screen, which should be 312-738-1060. All right, Jeanette, what are the problems that you see with the 20th Ward as it exists now?
We're not unified. There's a thing of, there is really a class war in the 20th Ward where if I own my home, I have a different set of values than people who are renters. And what I say to folks a lot of time is, you went down to the Cook County Assessors and got your tax assessed, right? That's a subsidy in a way, so we're no different. Us treating each other the same. We definitely need economic development. We need jobs. I can't stress how much. Definitely youth programs, youth investment. We gotta have youth investment. Having our seniors give back. We're repeating history because we don't listen to our elders. And so having programs, when I worked in Kenwood, Oakland, we had a program where elders went into the school and kind of mentored folks in the school.
Well, I like it the other way around. I like it when the kids come out to the elders and help them clean gutters.
Look, not one or the other. Look, not one or the other, and in both, because we all could learn from each other. Elders pave the way for us. Young people are always the folks who are fighting. Young people made sure we got voting rights. Young people did a lot to make sure that we got a lot of things as black folks. And so us not forgetting those lessons and bringing them back. We know what great communities look like. We just need the space and people who advocate for us to say, this is what my community wants to do. This is what we need to do.
All right, Ms. Jeanette, if you're elected, what's the first thing you're going to do?
Bring my constituents together so that they not only know what my job is, where do we go for other things. And so when it comes to streets and sand, when it comes to those type of services, us being educated. When I worked for the community organization, one of the first things that happened to me was I didn't get to go to talk to folks. I got to learn what the job was. And so me trying to educate my ward and getting us together. We have a small Latino base that feels like they're not a part of the ward because they're often ignored. And I don't want that to happen anymore. I know what it feels like to be a voiceless black mother, and it's disheartening. I never want people to feel like that. And so us having conversations about what we need, how do we spend menu money, what business should come and go in our community. We got a lot of business owners who don't respect us, who don't treat us right. Why are they still in our community? They roll billions of dollars out, but they're still in our community, and they allow things to happen in front of the store that we just know are wrong. And so those are some of the first things that I want to do, but definitely educate my folks, bring them together, and us to be able to look at the budget and say where money needs to be spent, what part of the ward that it's okay for now, we'll eventually get money for. Those are the type of things. And so being smart, getting a transition team, the folks who are running against me, or folks that are running to us, sitting down at the table saying, this is what I thought, this is what I thought, this is what I thought, and this is what I heard from constituents, and kind of putting it together, because we gotta unify. We have to be together. And so having those conversations definitely are some of the first things that I want to do.
Pookie, do we have a caller, Pookie? Do you have a comment or question for Ms. Taylor, candidate for the 20th Ward aldermanic spot?
Yes, I do. And
Hi,
good
Stephen,
evening,
how are you
young
tonight?
lady. Hey, I'm doing great. How about you,
All
sweetheart?
right.
I've been listening to y'all speak, and listen to the young lady. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, good luck to you. I hope that you really succeed in what you're trying to do. It's better to have a dream than not to have none at all. So at least you're trying something.
Well spoken, Steve.
But I'm going to maybe have to bust your bubble just a little. I think what we have done for the past, it was good then, but not now. It's time to revamp everything what we used to do in the past. We need to start not at high school level. We need to start in pre-K. We need to start doing what other countries are doing with their kids. They're not teaching them how to be a carpenter. They're not teaching them how to be an electrician. You need to get into the new world, what is being done now. You got to get papers. You got to get plenty of papers, not a degree. You got to get a master, and you got to keep going. And these new technology things, you have to go back every other year to get upgraded of what's going on right now.
That's right, I agree. Absolutely.
Money is do make the world work. I hate to say that, but I believe in it. It takes money to make money. It takes a smart person to keep money. See, when I was going to school, we wasn't taught how to invest and keep your money. You were just taught to go and make some money.
That's right.
So again, we need to start at the basic roots. We need to start our educational. Listen, I'm going to say something you might not like.
Uh-oh.
Everybody don't want to go to school.
I agree.
Everybody don't want to work. Everybody don't want to do those things. I don't condone selling drugs.
No,
but
we're not
listen,
selling.
they got places
Stephen,
for people.
thank you for calling in. I hate to say, but I've got another caller.
Okay, let me.
Caller, do you have a comment or question for Ms. Taylor, alderman candidate for the 20th Ward?
Yes, I do have a question for Ms. Taylor. You have a mixed community with Latinos, young and seniors. What's your plan for bringing them all together so that your ward can prosper and grow together?
Conversations, us talking to each other, us trying to bridge that gap, us trying to understand each other. I come from a community organization where we allow young people to lead the conversation and set the tone for what they want to happen. And so us being able to listen to each other, I think that is something that we quite often don't do. We don't listen. We listen to answer, but not listen to hear, if that makes sense. And so definitely trying to bridge the gap. I think we're at a good space when it comes to block clubs. And so one of the things that the 20th Ward does well, they do have a bunch of block clubs. And so trying to get everybody in the ward to kind of start from there, because it is a good space. You know, it's for us to meet each other, us to hear each other, us to have the conversation, to see what the need is, us talking about being good neighbors. A lot of times we complain about what people didn't do when we've never had a conversation about what we don't like. And so us just being invited and trying to talk and bridge that gap.
Okay. All right. I like that. All right. Well, good luck. I'm pretty sure you will be successful in your run, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to do what it is that you intend to do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're almost out of time. So Jeanette, maybe you can sum up for our viewers why they should vote for Jeanette Taylor.
And so
wait here. I'm sorry, I forgot to show your thing.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, I messed that up. Here you go. Jeanette Taylor, Taylor for alderman. I like the sun rays there.
It's actually from Harold Washington when he did his buttons.
Oh.
That little piece. And so
all right.
Harold Washington, I felt like, bridged us together as a citywide coalition. And so I want to do that in the 20th Ward.
So there you
Most
go.
definitely.
Taylor,
it's inspired. It's inspired. And so I just want folks to know that whoever you give your vote to, make sure that they've had a conversation with you. Check their backgrounds. Too often we're quick to go with name recognition. We don't go and check what people have done in the past, or what they're willing to do, or what they're talking about and who they work with. And so my background speaks for itself. 21 years of my life on the local school councils, 10 years community organizing, diet hunger strike. I advocate with parents, and so I help parents of special needs students. My son is autistic. I'm a mother of 5.
Wow.
I'm a wife.
Wow.
Yes. My oldest is 28. My baby is 14. So this is where my heart is, and I want to fight to live in a city that I know and love, and I'm willing to win, lose, or draw. I'm there for the 20th Ward.
That's fantastic, Jeanette. Just any parting thoughts for our viewers?
Thank you, Jan, for having me on the show. I appreciate it. Chicago is a city we all know and love, and let's figure out in February 2019, we vote people who look like us, who reflect us, and who want to fight for the same exact things.
Well, I'm going to disagree with you there. I hate to say it. I really think that we have to be colorblind in today's day and age. I think you have to listen to the message the person is giving, not necessarily their race or their gender. It's more important to understand the person and what they're going to do for you. At least that's my point of view. So it's like, would you elect a white woman from the suburbs for the 20th
I
ward?
would.
No, you wouldn't. I don't have the slightest idea anything that goes on.
If you lived in that community and you were on the ground,
I think we have to be right, like the statue of justice. We have to be colorblind these days.
Interesting.
Good luck to you, Miss Jeanette.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching and participating in today's show. I'm Jan Kowalski McDonald with Greenslate I Incorporated. My guest tonight has been Ms. Jeanette Taylor, Taylor. And you can reach her at
Taylor for 20thward.org, 6636 South Cottage Grove, 773-620-9055.
So if you have any campaign contributions or if you just want to volunteer to help the campaign, I guess you're circulating now?
Yes, I am.
So what was that number again?
773-620-9055, TAYLORFOR, the number 2, the number 0, TH, ward.org.
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us, Ms. Taylor. Good luck in the campaign. And my executive producer is Ziv Sistrunk, and my technician has been Pookie. And thank you, and have a good night.